Good day, this is Chris Gilmore here from Sticks and Stones Wilderness School, and I'm outside in January up on the edge of Algonquin Park here, and I want to talk a little bit about taking bow drill to the next level today. I know tons and tons of people that practice bow drill really often, and they can get bow drill coals, in seconds often, but what I commonly see people doing when they're practicing their bow drill is using synthetic nylon cordage all the way, and perfectly seasoned bow drill wood, that's been sitting inside for a while and is carved out perfect. And it's great to be able to do that. There's amazing teachings in working the bow drill in those kinds of conditions. But what's really important, if you want to think about the bow drill as an actual survival tool that's really practical and could actually save your life in a wilderness situation, we need to go well beyond what I normally see people practicing. So the one we're going to explore specifically today is what do you use for a bow drill string if you don't have your beautiful piece of nylon cordage with you. There's all kinds of scenarios you could find yourself in where you need to improvise some sort of cordage, and cordage can be a big thing to come across in the wilderness. So we're going to explore a couple different options today. One I have right here, this is a piece of cord that I made from a cotton t-shirt, basically cutting strips out of my t-shirt and cording it together. Over here I've got a cord out of one of my favorite natural cordage materials. This here is dogbane. Probably one of the strongest natural cordage materials you find in this area. Of course, it has to be the right time of the year to be able to harvest this. Over here, we've got another cordage. This is made out of some milkweed fiber here. My favorite of all natural materials to work with, and probably the strongest, longest lifespan, not something you're necessarily going to find in a survival situation, though, is this right here. And this is actually rawhide. And I'll come closer here for a second. You can see how it is quite hard on the end there. It's just rawhide cut into strips. I soaked it, corded it together, and I've pretty much tanned that hide in actually using this. But so this is incredibly strong. Let's talk a little bit about some more modern things that you might be able to salvage along the way too. You can literally walk from here right up into Alaska through the North Country, through the woods, and probably salvage lots of human waste along the way. And those are often great options for us for natural cordage as well if you're not making natural fibers. I'll give you a couple examples of things I've been playing around with. Right here I've got a piece of extension cord. Who knows, you might find this out in a dump somewhere. You come across an old cabin out in the woods or something like that. Also, you come across this one here is a piece of nylon strapping that I took from a construction site. I basically split it down the middle to make it a bit thinner and then corded those two pieces together. This isn't too much different than the nylon cord you're probably used to practicing with. One I often hear people talking about, and I think the one that probably a lot of people in the back of their mind think, oh, well, I get lost in the wood, I'll just use my shoelace. And that's a great idea. There's no reason you can't use your shoelace. But I think something important to put into context there is that a lot of shoelaces really aren't that strong of a material. How often do your shoelaces break on you? I know I'm pretty hard on my gear, and my shoelaces break all the time. So if I was to use my single shoelace, pop it out of my shoe, and it breaks on me, now I've got no fire, and I've got a shoe that doesn't fit tightly to my foot, which puts me in even a tougher situation. But once again, knowing how to cord material is really key. What I would be more prone to do is take my shoelace off of both shoes, cord them together, and then use it for my bow drill string as opposed to using just one of them. But I really, really want to stress here that take the time to actually practice with your shoelace, practice with natural fiber. If you haven't put that time in ahead of time, you could find yourself in for a little more work than you bargained for if you actually end up in a survival situation. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the differences of using natural fiber here. So this is a piece of dogbane, I said, ideally one of my favorite types of natural cordage. So having dogbane is kind of relevant on the time of year and the season. But a couple things I want to talk about when we're actually using this cord. Because this is a natural fiber, if you're used to working with nylon, a couple things change here. One is that the material is more likely to fray. So as I wrap it around my spindle, and I start spinning like I normally would, you can see here, if I spin this on a straight platform, the cord is actually going to be rubbing on itself every single time that I make a movement with my arm. That's going to wear through a natural cordage a heck of a lot faster than it's going to wear through nylon and cause you to break your cordage quite a bit faster. The other thing is that as I start going with this cordage, the fiber is actually going to pull apart and stretch. So the string is actually going to become looser as I go. So I want everyone to really focus on that string angle there and what I'm doing differently. See how when I rub there, the string isn't actually touching itself. Looks like we got one there. So here we go. Next I'm going to going to give it a go with a piece of cotton. These are the 2 strips from my t-shirt. Great one, you know, you almost always have some sort of cotton material or some sort of fabric that you're wearing. If your t-shirt is a little bit longer than your waistline, then to take a couple strips off of the bottom really isn't going to affect the effectiveness of that piece of clothing. All kinds of other things you could probably think of that are similar to this piece of cotton that you could use in a survival situation as well. Now, just like with the natural cordage, I'm not quite as worried about my string angle on this one, but I am probably going to have to choke up on the cotton as I start to spin my bow drill here, because it will start to loosen. Those fibers will start to pull apart from each other. There, I'm just choking up just a little bit there now. And looks like we got a coal there already. This one here is the piece of salvage extension cord. If I had 2 smaller pieces of electrical wire, or say phone wire from like a phone jack or something, I might think about cording them together just to give me a bit of surface area on my string. I think this will be fine on its own. All right, here we go, extension cord, fire. All right. It looks like we got one more there. Sure, you can do a bow drill with a nylon cord and with a nice, you know, cedar kit that's been split up perfectly, but could you make a bow drill fire when you actually need to, when it really counts? Can you do it when it's cold out? What if it was -20 right now in a blizzard? Can you do it if it's pouring rain and been raining for a week? What do you do when you don't have a piece of nylon rope with you? What about if you don't have a knife to carve your kit and you need to make it with a piece of stone? So if you're getting really good at rocking off coals with your perfect conditions, let's talk about upping it and making it real. Could you really do it when it counts? That's what really matters here. So I'd like to challenge you to try as many different strings as you can and let us know how you're doing with that. Maybe you can post your own video online.